Hello, I'm Joey Only, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is part 16 of my ongoing conversation with Sifu John Kaufman over in Hong Kong. This is becoming more of a podcast, I guess, in a sense, because, really, we've already spoke about the essence of the Chun Tin system and what John Kaufman really brings to Wing Chun. And so as far as philosophizing about it, we've kind of hit all the important things, but that doesn't mean there isn't lots to talk about still. If you want to help John Kaufman out, then please go right here and subscribe to his channel because he's awesome and deserves it. And I'm really glad to be bringing these conversations to you. Today's topic is sort of a funny one, but I'll qualify some of this in advance that I have no religious practice whatsoever. I don't care if God is real or not. I don't, for the most part, the things I want to do are good things. So I just do whatever I want in the world. I don't get too caught up in any sort of thinking that might sort of take away from who I am. I spent a lot of my life suffering with depression. I spent a lot of my Wing Chun life doing a lot of drugs and alcohol. There was times where I said to myself, I don't really deserve this martial arts, so I didn't practice because I was living poorly. So, step one is don't let yourself be the reason for your own failure. Don't self-sabotage because some voice in your head is saying, I don't really deserve this, or I don't practice this enough, or yada, yada, yada. I'll also qualify to say that I've set my life up here in the mountains to be a very meditative and quiet one. I don't have traffic jams I get caught up in. I don't rush to work every day. I don't have rent to pay. So, my life is calm and I'm able to live what I consider to be a meditative life. So I don't necessarily have a lot of time. I don't necessarily sit there and go, oh, Mani Padme, huh? All the time I'm in my house doing nothing and allowing myself in and out of that state as I freely feel the need to do so. So when I say in this video, I talk about meditation, keep it in that perspective that I'm not against meditation. In fact, it's how I live my life. But for some of you, you don't have time and you have to sit there and make time to do these things. And then if you don't make time to do it, then you start to beat yourself up over it and your practice falters because of these things. I've had another friend who's down on themselves. They say they can't achieve Nim Tao state because of things that they are personally doing. And examples of this could be smoking cigarettes. I smoke a lot of weed. I don't care what you think about that. Seminal retention's one that keeps coming up amongst people. They get down on themselves because of they have a love life and they think I can't achieve Nim Tao state because of I'm releasing my energy. So, this is the kind of thing I want to talk about today with John Kaufman. And I want to encourage all of you to knock that shit off, become yourself. Stop thinking you're getting in the way of your own progress. That's the point. So I took Miyamoto Musashi very seriously when he said, I follow no particular way. I don't follow Shintoism or Buddhism or Taoism. He followed the way of strategy, and that involved training. That's my message to you. Stick to that core fundamental if you want to be a warrior. For me, being an anarchist and a mountain hillbilly, Wing Chun for me was a martial art that allowed me to be me and not have to accept any other fancy ideas about the way things should be. People get sort of these ideas about chi and power and energy and how to cultivate that sort of thing. I don't really have that problem because I'm not very mystical whatsoever. So I've had comments like this before, and this would be an example. Where they say, well, the monks, they practiced seminal retention and things like that. And I said, well, the monks also didn't smoke a ton of weed. They're fucking boring. That was my response right off the bat, right? I do lots of things the monks wouldn't fucking do. And I don't care what the monks would have done because I'm a monk in my own way up here in the mountain. Whatever. That's a different time and era they're from. And I don't feel like any amount of imposing suffering of any sort or any... So you get what I'm talking about? These ideas of like, how do we cultivate chi? And well, we do what the monks used to do. And I think that's problematic. I think the Chun Tin system has answers around that.
First of all, I am far from qualified in any respect from opining on seminal retention and those classic thoughts about or theories about how it affects the buildup of chi or the use of chi, how it depletes your vital energy. Okay. Um, I know nothing about that, and I don't pretend to. If someone is interested in that topic, I guess they're going to have to obviously go elsewhere for research and try to figure out what that's all about and whether there's any merit to those ideas or not. We only can talk about what we think we know. Okay. Um, so it's like all any of us can do if we're teaching, for instance, is we can only teach what we know. We can't teach what we don't know. So within that limitation, which I certainly have, then for me, the martial arts about everything we've talked about in all of these past conversations, accessing your weight, using it in momentum, and how to do all of that. Okay, that is what martial activity boils down to, in my view. So for me, and again, I'm just saying, I have my limitations of ability, limitations of understanding and knowledge, etc. But for me, it's not about chi. It's not about using some energy that might be depleted if I, don't practice seminal retention. That buildup of chi I'm going to use in a certain way to produce force. That's not how I think of chi, and that's not how I think of martial activity. For me, I want to talk about chi, and that's what the seminal retention is about, as far as I know. Chi is a sense of circulation inside the body. That's why I'm not suggesting it's the same thing. It's probably not, but I analogize it to the feeling of having the chills, the goosebumps. Because when you're having the chills, it's universal, and what I mean by that, it's everywhere in the body simultaneously. You don't just get the chills in your left arm, for instance. When it overtakes you, maybe you're listening to a song or watching a movie or something, and boom, it's like this strong rush through everywhere in your body at the same time. It's like an internal circulation, and it's a very strong feeling. We can all identify with that. In my view, if you were in the moment you're having the chills, if someone were to press on your arm, they wouldn't be able to move you. You would be very strong. And if you moved in that condition, you'd be moving with a lot of power. Okay. So to me, chi is like that. It's a internal circulation. It's a moving through yourself. Okay. And for what purpose? To create a condition of the body, a state, a body state, a state of being, of wholeness, of connectedness, of openness. Okay. So that when you do move, apply momentum to your body weight, you have greater power as a result. Okay. So to me, that's what chi is about. It's to create a state of being that you use by then moving externally. Okay. It's not like, for me anyway, it's not like it's some energy that I use to have power in my punch. It's energy that I use to set up my body state. So when I move as a whole, I have power in my punch. That's the distinction for me, in my opinion. Okay.
And I agree with you, right? It would be a sense of grounding, I might call it for myself. However, other examples of this kind of thinking that, people beat themselves up over this sort of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how can I achieve Nim Tao state if drank too much coffee? How can I be in Nim Tao state if I did such and such and such, right? So there's these sort of like standards, these mythic standards that people in the past and the world of martial arts have kind of set, and people have these ideas like, I have to rise to those standards. It affects their self-esteem when they can't, and their idea that doing these things will get them to the Nim Tao state as you and I've discussed before, well, you can't know how to get there. So already you're trying to get there by doing everything but just doing it.
When Chushantin talked about, he talked about a lot. He talked about thinking up from the crown of the head. Okay. He he specifically said, don't try to go up. Don't make an effort to rise up. Just think up. That's why he used the word think. Just the idea of up, if you will. Okay. Don't try to go up, right? Like forward energy. Don't try to go. Just think forward. And the body will prepare itself that create that ground force reaction naturally. Okay. So you're not making an effort. It's just the idea itself. And what did Chushantin say the meaning of Sunim Tao was? To use idea to move. Okay. So when you think up, just the idea of up, but you don't try to change yourself to accomplish up. You just think up. Okay. You become the marionette. And naturally, as a result, everything in your body will just fall down. You don't push it down. You don't actually try to make it move somewhere. Again, no effort is used. It just naturally releases some and falls down. Obeys gravity. Stop holding it up. Okay. And now you become whole. You've accessed your body as a whole. And then you just move the marionette around. So we're talking about, idea. Okay. Nim Tao. You mentioned Nim Tao. Okay. Nim is idea. Tao is head. Idea in the head. Okay. So it's not Tao like the way. It's okay. So when you are the marionette, as we've described, so you've gained access to your body weight as a whole by being more natural and not doing anything special, not trying to fix something inside yourself. Then when you just have an idea, the body will respond automatically. So if I have whatever your idea is, so if I have an idea of punch, my body will, as a whole, will operate through momentum to punch. Okay. That's what's meant by I hit you with my body, not my fist. Sure, it's my fist that's making contact, but it's my body that's the engine doing the work. Okay. If I'm like, okay. So whatever the idea is, the body will respond naturally. So that's what Chushantin, in my opinion, meant when he would say things like, he just thinks and the movement happens by itself. Okay. And that's the essence behind it, using idea to move. And that's the important thing of when, particularly in internal systems of martial arts, when they refer to the importance of the mind and the importance of idea. That's what that's about, in my opinion. So you can practice this. You achieve that by a series of reduction, taking away. So you start with the idea of up, just the idea. The problem is, I'm sorry to be redundant, but the problem, as I see it, is that you tell somebody to raise up, and they're going to make an effort to do it, because that's how we learn how to learn. Okay. You're told to do something and you make an effort. What are we all told as children? You got to try harder. You got to make more of an effort in school, right? Yeah. So this is how we all learn how to learn. What we do automatically then is, okay, you tell a student, think up, or raise up rather, and they try to raise up. But that's going to result in strength or muscle tension in various locations of the body, as we've talked about. So instead, just the idea of up without trying to do anything about it. And as a result of that, the body will fall down within itself. So you'll still feel like the body is floating upwards when you do this. You'll feel light. You'll feel like the whole body's going to levitate, for instance. But inside of you, everything is falling down. But you're not going to feel heavy. Okay? So it's not the same thing as it, or if you're in a state of sung sufficiently, you can take force through you, point of contact, wherever that might be, down through the body because you're aligned properly, through your feet into the ground. So the person's really pushing the ground through your body. And then you come off the ground to move. Okay. It's not that. Okay. It's when you're because when the force in that modality, the force going through you presses your body into the ground. So you feel heavy. But you can't use your body in a martial way without moving. So you feel heavy on the ground. To move, you have to come up to move. Okay. Which takes some amount of time and maybe effort to come up. But it's that when you're the marionette, just the idea of up and the body naturally falls down within itself, you'll feel your whole body will feel very light. You'll feel light on the ground. You're not actually weigh less. Obviously, your body weighs what it weighs, but you'll feel light. And then when you apply idea, what your body will move, will activate momentum. So we'll move automatically in accordance with whatever your idea is. Hence, my old Sifa would say, what's in the mind comes out through the hand. Okay. So to me, that's what idea is all about. But you have to be in that state of, I would just call it for the sake of brevity, being the marionette. Okay. You have to be in that state for the idea to express itself through the body that way. I mean, you could stand there and like tense all your muscles, oh, look how strong I am. And have the same idea, I want to go somewhere. And nothing's going to fucking happen. You're stuck in place. You have to let go to move, okay? So it's like trying to ride a bicycle with the brake on. It's not going to happen. You have to release the brake. That's to me is the importance and essence of using idea. That's what Nim Tao is, in my opinion. That's what Nim Tao is. Using idea to move. Okay. Other people may agree, they may disagree. I don't know. Each to their own, I can, as I said before, I can only state my own current understanding of things.
Yeah, I much agree. If I need to turn the animal on, it doesn't matter if I'm at a metal show. It doesn't matter if I'm sick. It doesn't matter if I'm bloated from having eaten too much food. It doesn't matter if, the weather's bad or, none of those things have to matter, right? So, sure, maybe it's good to meditate, but I don't necessarily figure it makes a difference necessarily when it comes time to be in the state, right? So that's what I'm trying to encourage our friend through and say, like, hey, what did Sifu Kaufman say? He said, you're already perfect. Stop trying to make yourself better to get there, right?
Okay. I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say, look, I don't know much about meditation, and so I'm not really trying to espouse on that. But having said that, my sense is that meditation practice is something you do by not doing, right? The truth is usually paradoxical. So it's about transcendence. So to me, the value of meditation with respect to martial practice, and of course they're historically and traditionally closely aligned. is that meditation practice can help you achieve that body state we're talking about, that wholeness, that transcendence, that connectivity, and access to the mind, so that when you have an idea, the body responds naturally and effectively. So I'm not suggesting at all, nor do I believe that there's little value to meditation in the context of practicing your martial art. I think the opposite. Anyway, I wanted to mention that briefly because you brought up meditation. So go ahead.
Well, I like to say that meditation can be anywhere, anything, right? Doesn't have to be go
No,
sit
it does.
there.
It doesn't. It obviously it doesn't have to follow a formal method, or like method of doing. It's that. Well, I have to sit on this cushion to meditate, or I have to stand a certain way. No. It's basically it's about suspension of judgments, suspension of analytical thought, suspension of it's like we talk about. Look, it's for me, it's the same thing we've been talking about on the physical plane. How do you become the marionette? Through a physical state of meditation, in the sense that you rise above, rise, right?
Yeah.
You rise above yourself. You rise above making an effort. Well, my shoulder's tense. I got to fix it, or whatever. You rise above that stuff. So if you're already perfect, you rise above that sort of judgmental observation and then trying to fix what's wrong. So you just allow yourself to be yourself in the moment naturally, and your body will be correct. Okay. Correct in the sense of gaining access to your weight, and use idea to move that weight. Okay. So meditation on a physical plane is like becoming the marionette, if you will. And the practice of meditation itself, in my view anyway, can help your body achieve that state, that physical state. Why? Because your mind has already practiced that transcendence, if you will, that release. It can transfer into the body more readily. That's my view.